I invite you to sit or lay down comfortably and gently close your eyes. There's nothing you need to do. Simply let my words drift over you like a soft breeze, as though you're listening to a sound so faint that you're not sure if it's real or part of a dream. Imagine yourself as you are now and feel the ease of simply being here. And being here can also mean being nowhere in particular or everywhere at once. As if here is simply the place where your attention chooses to rest for now. And I wonder if there is a part of you, a part that's ready to explore new things, that might feel as though it could take a step back and watch, as if from afar, the stories I'll be sharing today. I'd like to start by telling you about a painter who wanted to capture a meadow just as it was in her mind. Each morning, she would carry her easel and paints to the same spot, setting up with a sunrise, eager to capture the light exactly as it appeared at that moment. But every morning, something would change. The color of the clouds, the shade of the trees, the whisper of a breeze that shifted the grass ever so slightly. So she tried to paint it all, each blade of grass, each petal and leaf, each shadow as it passed. Yet, every day, the field would become something different, never quite what she remembered or planned. Until one morning, she noticed herself laughing at a breeze that had tipped her easel. She picked up her brush and painted the meadow, just as it was in that instant, without needing to wait for everything to be just so. Her painting captured the moment, complete in its imperfection. Each brush stroke capturing the movement and life of the field in a way no plan ever could. And I don't know if, just like this painter did, you could release the tyranny of a plan and accept the movement of life more easily. And I don't know if you ever heard this story. In a town far away, there's an unusual library filled with only books that have never been finished. People come from around the world to read these pages that stop mid-sentence, paragraphs that trail off into empty space. No one knows where the books came from, but each story has its own magic, each page seeming to hold a world waiting to be completed by the reader's imagination. One day, a visitor asked the librarian why these books hadn't been finished. The librarian smiled and said, "Sometimes the beauty is in the space that's left open, in the ideas left waiting for someone to add their own thoughts." And as the visitor walked out, she wondered if perhaps life didn't need every ending written, every detail perfect. Maybe, she thought, the greatest stories are the ones that leave a little space for us to fill. And this reminds me of this story that has nothing to do with anything. There once was a gardener who grew flowers with care and love. Each flower, he believed, should have its own unique shape and color. But one year, something strange happened. The flowers began to grow just a little crooked. Some leaned to the left, others to the right. Some petals didn't quite align as they had before. At first, he tried to support each flower, strengthening it gently, urging it to grow in a perfect line. But no matter how he adjusted, each flower seemed to return to its own way of growing. Then, one evening, as he was watering his plants, a neighbor passed by and admired the garden, saying how lively and beautiful it looked. In that moment, the gardener realized that it was the slight irregularities that gave the garden its charm and character. Every flower, just as it was, made the garden feel alive, perfect in its own way. And maybe you too could accept yourself fully and letting that delightful feeling of feeling alive go through your body. In a small studio, a sculptor once worked for hours on end, chiseling away at a block of marble. He had an image in his mind, a figure so precise and flawless, he could see it within the stone. Yet, no matter how he chiseled, the marble resisted. Tiny fragments would break in unexpected ways, edges would chip, the stone seeming to want to take its own shape. One day, exhausted, the sculptor placed his tool down and sat with the marble, noticing its natural grooves, its cracks and lines. It was as though the marble itself was a living thing, with its own desire to be revealed. He took up his chisel again, but this time, instead of imposing his vision, he allowed the stone to guide him. Slowly, the figure emerged, its beauty in the unexpected curves, each mark showing the marble's journey as much as his own. And at that moment, he felt at peace, knowing that art sometimes has its own way of unfolding. And finally, maybe you can imagine a winter's night, silent, except for the softest snowball, where each flake takes its own unique path to the ground. No two flakes fall in the same way. None are shaped alike, yet each one arrives, completing the winter scene. One flake paused mid-air and thought, I wish I could be like the others, flawless, symmetrical, without edges or bends. But the wind carried it on its own special path, spinning and twirling. By the time it reached the ground, it had left its own distinct mark in the snow. In the morning, as the sunlight sparkled across the field, it became clear that the beauty lay in the millions of unique paths, each flake adding to the shimmer, perfect in its own dance to the earth. And now, as you reflect on these stories, allow any part of you that seeks to be just right to feel lighter, as if it could take its own path, guided by ease rather than striving. There is freedom in the unique ways you bring your life to light. Each effort, each step, is a piece of your own journey, each part perfect in its imperfection. And perhaps you can even visualize yourself in a few moments, a few days, feeling lighter, as if the weight of perfection and self-imposed pressure had lifted. Feel how much lighter you feel now that you've released this pattern. In a few moments, you'll begin to reconnect with the room around you, carrying with you whatever feelings of ease and self-acceptance have emerged, knowing they are there to support you. When you're ready, slowly return to the present, allowing your eyes to open gently, bringing with you a sense of peace and freedom.